The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days, and neither had the whispers through the thin apartment walls. Marcus could hear them. The concerned murmurs of neighbors who thought he couldn't manage, the pitying tones reserved for single fathers who looked perpetually exhausted. He'd learned to ignore most of it, focusing instead on the laughter of his 6-year-old daughter Emma as she colored at their kitchen table, her world blissfully unaware of how hard he worked to keep it spinning. But there was one voice he couldn't ignore. Sarah from 4 Billions had a way of appearing exactly when he needed help least and wanted it most. This morning she'd caught him in the hallway, juggling grocery bags, Emma's backpack, and his dignity, all of which were slipping. "You know," Sarah said, holding the elevator door with one perfectly manicured hand, "if you ever need someone to watch Emma, I'm right next door." Her smile was warm, maybe too warm. A girl needs a woman's touch sometimes. Marcus felt something snap inside him, not anger, but something closer to desperation. He set down the groceries with deliberate care and looked Sarah straight in the eye. "Stop flirting with me." The words hung in the air between them like a challenge. Sarah's expression shifted through surprise, embarrassment, and then something unexpected, hurt. But Marcus wasn't done. "I don't need someone to fix my life or rescue my daughter. What I need is for people to see that I'm doing just fine. If you believe in the power of second chances and the strength we find in unexpected places, please like, share, and subscribe to the Kindness channel. Your support helps us share stories that remind us of our shared humanity." The elevator doors closed, leaving Marcus alone with his words echoing in his head. By the time he got Emma fed and off to school, guilt had settled in his chest like a stone. He'd been harsh. Sarah had only been trying to help, and he'd thrown it back in her face because his pride was wounded and his exhaustion was showing. That evening, Marcus knocked on Sarah's door with an apology ready on his lips. What he got instead changed everything. Sarah answered with red-rimmed eyes and a forced smile. "Look, I'm sorry if I overstepped. I'll stay out of your way." "No, I'm the one who should apologize," Marcus began, but Sarah was already shaking her head. "You were right. I was flirting, but not for the reasons you think." She laughed bitterly. "My ex-husband left me because I can't have children. He wanted a family, and I couldn't give him one. When I see you with Emma, the way you braid her hair even though it's lopsided, the way you remember she likes her sandwiches cut in triangles." Her voice cracked. "I wasn't trying to fix your life. I was trying to be part of something beautiful that I'll never have." Marcus stood speechless as Sarah wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry. That's not your burden to carry. I'll stop bothering you both." Before she could close the door, Marcus spoke. "Emma's school is having a family art night on Friday. She's been anxious about it because all the other kids have 2 parents to help with their projects." He met Sarah's surprised gaze. "Would you maybe want to come? Not as a fix or a replacement, but as a friend who might understand what it's like to feel incomplete?" Sarah's shock melted into something softer. "Are you sure?" "No," Marcus admitted. "But I'm tired of pretending I have all the answers." Friday arrived with Emma bouncing with excitement. "Miss Sarah is really coming?" she asked for the 10th time. At the school gymnasium, families clustered around tables covered in paint, glue, and construction paper. The project was simple. Create a family tree. Emma looked at the supplies with worry creasing her small forehead. "Everyone else has more people," she whispered. Sarah knelt beside her. "You know what? The strongest trees aren't always the biggest ones. Sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones that choose each other, not just the ones born into it." They worked together, the 3 of them, creating something that wasn't traditional but was entirely theirs. Marcus painted the trunk. Emma added colorful leaves with their names, and Sarah helped design routes that spelled out words like kindness, strength, and chosen. Mrs. Patterson, Emma's teacher, paused at their table. "This is lovely. Family comes in all forms, doesn't it?" Emma beamed. "This is my dad, and this is Miss Sarah. She's teaching me how to bake cookies, and she knows all the words to the princess songs, and she says I can call her any time I want to talk about girl stuff." Marcus caught Sarah's eye over Emma's head. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. Not romance, but recognition. They were two incomplete people who'd somehow formed a more complete circle. Over the following months, a routine developed. Sarah taught Emma to braid her own hair. Marcus fixed Sarah's leaking faucet and assembled the bookshelf she'd been avoiding. They had dinner together twice a week. Nothing formal, just sharing the burden of cooking and the gift of company. Emma flourished with another adult who cared about her homework, her dreams, and her fears. The neighborhood whispers changed tone. Instead of pity, there was curiosity. Instead of judgment, there was something like admiration. One evening, Marcus found Sarah crying on her balcony. He brought her tea without asking and sat in silence until she was ready to talk. "My ex-husband's engaged," she finally said, "to someone who's already pregnant. And I know I should be over it, but it still hurts that I wasn't enough." Marcus chose his words carefully. "You're enough for Emma. You're enough for the students you tutor every week. You're enough for me, as a friend who makes my life better just by being in it." He paused. Maybe the question isn't whether you're enough. Maybe it's whether he was worthy of what you had to offer. Sarah laughed through her tears. "When did you get so wise?" "I didn't. I just learned that the family you build is just as real as the one you're born with." 6 months after that hallway confrontation, Emma's birthday party filled their small apartment with laughter. As Marcus watched Sarah help Emma blow out her candles, he thought about that rainy morning when he'd pushed help away because accepting it felt like admitting defeat. He'd been so wrong. Sarah caught him staring and smiled, a real smile free from the sadness that used to shadow it. "What are you thinking?" she asked later, as they cleaned up wrapping paper. "I'm thinking about how you told me Emma needed a woman's touch, and I got defensive because I thought you were saying I wasn't enough. And now I know that needing people doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." Emma appeared in her new princess pajamas, hugging both of them. "Best birthday ever. I love our family." Neither adult corrected her terminology, because somewhere between the arguments and the apologies, between the loneliness and the laughter, they had become exactly that, a family built not on biology or romance, but on the simple, radical act of showing up for each other. Marcus had told Sarah to stop flirting with him, and she had. What she'd started instead was so much better. She'd started being present, being honest, and being the kind of friend who transforms life from something you endure into something you celebrate. And that, Marcus realized as he tucked Emma into bed while Sarah cleaned up the kitchen singing off-key, was worth more than pride, more than appearances, more than anything he'd thought he needed to prove. It was worth everything. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that family is about love, not just blood, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Kindness channel. Together we can spread stories that heal, inspire, and remind us that we're never as alone as we think. Your engagement helps these messages of hope reach those who need them most.